Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Friday and it is the 27th of June. This video is for educational purpose only. There is no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. And since Jeff Bezos is very much in the news due to his wedding, I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow. Let's have a look at the Amazon stock that also had some interesting development. We have Amazon trading sideways here for the better part of June, between 208 and 218.40, a close above the 218.40. The uptrend will resume, and then there's potential higher to 240, 245 area. The peak over here was 242.5, so that will that's where it could be headed. The 200 moving average is rising, the 55 is rising, the 100 declining, but the 55 and the 200 is the strongest, so to speak. And we can also see that the RSI is in a positive sentiment. It is back above 60 threshold. There's no divergence, indicating likely higher levels on Amazon. However, if it slides back and closes below the 208, it is in a bearish scenario. On the overall indices, and let's just start with Nasdaq 100. Nasdaq 100 yesterday closed above its rising channel area here and the upper rising trend line, accelerating the bullish move. And now we can also see that the RSI is above its falling trend line. There's still slightly divergence, but it seems like it will be cancelled, and there is indication that Nasdaq 100 will move higher. And here pre-market we can see that it is also pushing higher about 0.25%. Looking at the S&P 500 yesterday, also closed above its rising trend line there, and just below its previous peak there at 6,147. It is likely to push higher, also as indicated by the RSI close above its upper falling trend line there, likely to push higher. There's still slight divergence on the RSI, but I think it will be cancelled. And also here pre-market up about a 0.25%. The Dow Jones lagging the others, but still following up here. And next resistance is just around 44,000, 43,880. So in this region there will be some resistance, but for now it looks also quite bullish, and that's what the US market does in general. In Asia, a little bit mixed picture again. We have Hang Seng a little bit lower, tried to get back above 24,500, so it failed, got knocked back down a bit. We're still in a bullish trend, but it seems a little bit fragile. It really needs to take out 24,534 to push towards 25,000. So it's struggling a little bit. However, you can see here 55 moving average crossed above the 100, and they're both rising, indicating that we are likely to see high levels on Hang Seng possibly next week. On the Nikkei index, well, we talked about it for some time that they had potential to 40,000, and this morning it pushed above and closed above 40,000 and touched the 161.8 projection of this triangle-like pattern here, and this corrective move at 40,290. There's still potential higher. Bullish trend, no divergence on the RSI, likely to push higher into next week. In Europe, the EUROStoxx50 seems caught range bound here between 5,344 and 5,199. We can see that the 55 moving average coming up here, the 100 kind of putting a lid on it here, being flat. So we are stuck. We need to break out of this range behavior there, and pre-market we're up a little bit, so maybe we'll have a push to test the upper part of the range. The DAX index just still below the 23,740, which will be key it needs to close above to establish a bullish trend, and RSI needs to get back above 60 threshold to confirm it. But a close above 23,740 will at least establish a bullish trend. It's just a question about how strong it will be. We can see a pre-market, it is pushing up about 0.4%, and it is currently above its resistance, and let's see if it can follow through here throughout the day. RSI will be key for the medium-term outlook. On the forex market, we had euro dollar pushing higher, and we need to look at the weekly chart to see where it's headed. Well, we are above 117. It's stalling a little bit here short term, but there's room up to 118. We talked about it yesterday. We can see these consolidation area here back from 2021. But there is potential to 119 medium term. But as we can also see here that the RSI is showing divergence, so we are a little bit stressed, but again, the trend is your friend. We could see a little bit of a setback, but I still think we'll see it pushing higher on euro dollar. So a weaker dollar, sterling dollar, cable as we also call it, also pushed higher yesterday. It's quite high. I still think we will see it up to 138, which is 161.8 of this correction here. The RSI back above the falling trend line here. There's still a little bit of divergence on the RSI. Or how can we see that? We can look at that. You can see it's actually lower here than over here. So it's a little bit stressed, but again, the trend is bullish and there is potential higher. But you can see we have 137.50. That's where there's some resistance here. So there will be a little bit maybe setback here before the next push higher. Euro sterling testing the 38.2 retracement this morning here. If it takes it out later today, I think we'll see a sell-off down to around 84.65, 84.80 in this region here. On to yen pairs and dollar yen, still holding on above the 55 moving average. But I think we could see a test of the lower rising trend line. A resistance at 146.30, that is key, and the 100 moving average still, excuse me, and it will be key also to what RSI will be doing here. We actually were above over here, so we are in a positive sentiment, but it's quite fragile with just a small, it seems like a false break there. So I would regard it as a bearish one until we have a close above 146.30. Euro yen, as we can see, it's been stalling here. There's a bit divergence as we can see here, and the way to do it, we draw a little bit of a trend line there. But we are in a bullish trend, as we have talked about for a long time. As we can see here on the weekly, pushing higher, but do expect some setbacks. It will not be unlikely, but I wouldn't be turning around on my bullish stance until we closes below 166. Aussie yen knocking on the 94.80 resistance here this morning. Can it get back above it? It is just touching a little bit, 94.85 to be exact. So here we have some really strong resistance that is key. If it takes it out later today, well, 95.75 is likely to be tested. Otherwise, it will slide back. Sterling yen slowly crawling higher, stalling a little bit now. But I think we could still push up to 199.20, which is 161.8 projection of this correction here. I think we'll see it possibly today or early next week. Aussie dollar, well, it is flirting with this 65.50, 55 resistance here. That is key. We talked about it for quite some time. I think it will push higher towards 66.20 and maybe a little bit higher, but we have the 200 moving average declining here, dragging on it a little bit, but 55 is coming up, 100 is coming up, and there should be energy up to at least 66.20, possibly up to 66, 60, 65 area. Dollar Canada, as we speak, it is breaking below for the second day in a row. It did yesterday, dipped below but got back above, but now it's having another go here at the support at 136.30, 35 area, and I think we'll see it pushing lower towards 135.95, but I actually think it has the potential to take out the lows here, since there's negative sentiment on the RSI. There's no divergence. We see the low here on the price graph, also the low on the RSI value. I think we will see a push lower towards 135 and possibly 134 on the medium term. The Sterling Canada, Sterling Canada that spiked higher yesterday, very few cents from the 138.2 projection at 188.40, and then it sat back. And I think we could see it setting back a little bit further, testing this 186.90 support, but we are in a bullish trend. I think eventually it will crawl higher. And also, if we're looking at the broader picture on the week, we can see we are still in this longer term bullish trend on Sterling Canada. Euro Swiss, let's just skip it. It's just still range bound here, 94.50 and 93. Dollar Swiss, lower, broken below the lows here at 80.40 yesterday, pushing lower to test the falling trend line. I think we will see it pushing lower. Maybe we will try to get back above 80.40 short term, and it could actually do that, but we are still in a bearish trend until we get back above 82 and change. There is potential down to a 70 level, which is 138.2 projection of this corrective move here. Dollar index, more or less the same picture, sliding lower, and I think we'll reach 96.10 fairly shortly. Possibly not today, but could be next week. Gold is, as we speak, trading below or penetrating the support at 3,293. It will be key where it will it actually succeed? Sellers will succeed? I think they will actually, and I think we could see a test of the medium-term rising trend line here and the 3,245 support. We could see a test of this maybe later today or early next week. However, if it turns around, it needs to get back about 3,400 to resume uptrend, and doesn't really seem like it at the moment. So it's not really what investors want at the moment. We have silver that actually is stalling a little bit, but we are in the bullish trend. However, 35.45 is key support. If it closes below, well, then there's potential lower below 35. Platinum spiked higher yesterday and a little bit higher today, 14.37. But as we talked about previously, there's actually room higher to 15.20, and we need to get back on a monthly to see 15.20. Whether we'll get there is debatable, since now we have massive divergence on the RSI. You can see RSI declining here, so the strength is weakening. So we're in a trend exhaustion, but could still go on for a little bit further. But it needs to take up the peak today. And if it does, then we're looking at 15.20. I feel confident. Again, this is not an advice or anything. Copper, on the other hand, is really pushing higher. Strong move yesterday. Positive sentiment on the RSI. No divergence, indicating likely higher levels. So it seems like we are moving away from precious metals into base metals like copper. We have the 55 moving average crossing over the 100, and they are both rising, indicating or further adding to the bullish trend picture. So we could see a push on copper above 520 to 530, possibly higher in the near future. The energy market is fairly calm here at WTI crude oil, bouncing a little bit, and I think it could keep bouncing a little bit towards 67.50, possibly up to 69, just around the 200 moving average coming down there. But I think it will be range bound here between 63.70 and 69 here for quite some time. Could be fairly, maybe even narrower range. Same picture on Brent Crude, obviously, between 66.5 and up to around 70. I think that's where we will be stuck. European nat gas, very close to test the support here at 33.80. If it takes it out, we could see it down to the 31.30 level. But I think actually we will bounce a little bit, try to get back above 35, 36. Excuse me. US nat gas bounced after it hit the dip to the 200 moving average, staying above the 61.8 retracement of 350. So I think that's the range, and I think we could bounce up to 375 and possibly higher. We have positive sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, indicating higher levels, but I'm not quite sure we'll get there. However, if we move back above 375, then I think there will be a push towards $4. On the yield side, US Treasury yields touching yesterday, just smack bang on the 786 retracement of this uptrend there at 423, and then bouncing. And I think it will keep bouncing, given that we have the 200 moving average push up there, but we have the 100 down there. So there will be a little bit of a fight or struggling going on. I think we could see it bouncing to around 430. However, if it takes out 420 and moves below the cloud, well, then we are looking at 412, maybe even 410. On the European yields, we have the 10-year European slightly crawling higher, and I think we could see it testing 260. Whether we'll break it or not, I'm not quite sure about that. But 260 is the key. Close above, well, then we're looking at 265, possibly 270. Otherwise, we could still be knocked down back here to 250. The UK 10 bouncing a little bit, and it's still 442. That is the key support here, and then 438. And on Bitcoin, fairly calm, trading above the resistance there at 106,632. I think it will slowly crawl higher towards 110, 112. And Ethereum struggling to really gain momentum, but I think it will get it eventually up to the 61.8 retracement at 2600. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and a nice weekend when you get to there.